For what purpose does the gentleman from Arkansas seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 3903 as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Union Calendar number 386, H.R. 3903, a bill to exchange non-federal land held by the Chugach Alaska Corporation for certain federal land in the Chugach region and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Westerman, and the gentlewoman from Oregon, Ms. Hoyle, will each control 20 minutes. Gentleman from Arkansas.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and to add extraneous material on H.R. 3903, the bill now under consideration.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arkansas.
H.R. 3903, the Chugach Alaska Land Exchange Oil Spill Recovery Act of 2025, sponsored by Congressman Begich, would authorize the exchange of 231,000 subsurface acres currently held by the Chugach Alaska Corporation for approximately 65,374 acres of federal land in the Chugach region. Following the 1989 Exxon Valdez oil spill in Prince William Sound, extensive conservation land acquisitions created split estate ownership in which the federal government holds surface ownership while the Chugach Alaska Corporation holds subsurface ownership. The split estate ownership precluded the Chugach Alaska Corporation from exercising its property rights, restricted shareholder economic opportunities, and complicated federal land management by dividing subsurface and surface ownership. H.R. 3903 authorizes a negotiated exchange to consolidate federal ownership of surface and subsurface estate while conveying culturally significant, economically viable, and accessible lands to the Chugach Alaska Corporation. The bill will streamline federal land management and reduce checkerboard land ownership while promoting self-determination and economic development for Alaska Natives. Ms. Sherry Beretta, chairman of the board of the Chugach Alaska Corporation, testified last year to the Committee on Natural Resources that this bill is, quote, a solution rooted in fairness, parity, and respect. It is the fulfillment of a promise made half a century ago. The Alaska Native corporations like Chugach will be able to use our lands as a foundation for economic growth and cultural preservation, end quote. She went on to say that, quote, for Alaska Native peoples, land is not a commodity, it is our identity, our history, and our future, end quote. I appreciate Ms. Beretta and the Chugach people for their work to address this matter. I also applaud Mr. Begich for working diligently with his constituents to develop and move this important legislation. I support the bill and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from Oregon is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of H.R. 3903, a bill to address the longstanding split estate challenges in the Chugach region of Alaska. Under the Alaskan Native Claims Settlement Act, Alaskan Native corporations, including the Chugach Alaska Corporation, were promised lands of cultural and economic importance. However, Chugach only received a fraction of their traditional lands along with the subsurface rights beneath lands convened to the village corporations. Following the devastating Exxon Valdez oil spill in 1989, which released more than 11 million gallons of crude oil into Alaska's coastline, the federal government established the Trustee Council to manage settlement funds. These funds were used to purchase surface lands from the village corporation for conservation purposes. While the federal government acquired surface rights, Chugach retained the subsurface rights for approximately 230,000 acres, creating a split estate that has complicated land management and restricted Chugach's ability to manage their resources and land. H.R. 3903 would authorize a land exchange between the Chugach and the United States, allowing Chugach to exchange their current subsurface rights for surface and subsurface rights to approximately 65,000 acres of federal lands within the region. The Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act was enacted to resolve Alaska Native land claims and support self-determination. This bill would advance these goals by consolidating land ownership, improving conservation management, and providing Chugach greater control over their lands and resources. I ask my colleagues to vote yes on this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman reserves. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 4 minutes to the lead sponsor of this bill, the gentleman from Alaska, Mr. Begich.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of H.R. 3903, the Chugach Alaska Land Exchange Oil Spill Recovery Act, a bill I introduced to right an historic wrong that has gone unresolved for more than 3 decades. Nearly 40 years ago, an oil tanker ran aground in Prince William Sound, spilling 11 million gallons of crude oil across 1,300 miles of pristine Alaskan coastline. In the aftermath, the federal government used settlement funds to acquire roughly 231,000 acres of surface land for conservation. But it never acquired the subsurface rights underneath. Those belong to Chugach Alaska Corporation under the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. The result was a split estate. The federal government owned the surface, Chugach owned the subsurface, and neither side could act. Conservation goals were incomplete, and Chugach's Alaska Native shareholders were locked out of their lands. This bill fixes that. Under H.R. 3903, Chugach trades its 231,000 acres of unusable subsurface estate, land beneath federal conservation holdings that cannot be practically developed, in exchange for approximately 65,000 acres of fee simple land identified by the Bureau of Land Management as economically viable and culturally significant. Through this action, the federal footprint in Alaska is actually reduced by 65,000 acres. Not 1 acre is added to the federal estate. This is a true win-win. It perfects the conservation purpose of the original oil spill recovery program by unifying the surface and subsurface estates. And it finally gives Chugach Alaska Corporation and its Native shareholders the opportunity for the foundation that ANCSA intended. Congress recognized this problem in 2019 when it directed the Department of the Interior to study this issue. The BLM delivered its report in 2022, confirming the conflict and identifying lands for exchange. This legislation is built on those findings, the product of years of work by Chugach Alaska Corporation, by the Alaska Delegation, through bipartisan work in the House Natural Resources Committee and this body. Mr. Speaker, the people of the Chugach region have waited 36 years for this resolution, and this bill delivers it. I urge my colleagues to support H.R. 3903. I thank the House Natural Resources Committee for its unanimous bipartisan support, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back.
Mr. Speaker, I have no further requests for time, and I'm prepared to close, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from Oregon is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to support the legislation, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman yields back. The gentleman from Arkansas.
Mr. Speaker, H.R. 3903 aligns federal surface and subsurface ownership of conservation lands while resolving a decades-old problem by authorizing a land exchange between the Chugach Alaska Corporation and the federal government. I urge passage of the bill and yield back the balance of my time.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass H.R. 3903 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.